shots into that door, that would have caused a double action.
Okay. Again, referring cocked with one round up already, or just...
Did I say one round up?
One up?
Yeah.
And it was in the forward position, and then you need more pressure, and you need, that's what we call double action.
Yeah. Because I cannot remember the accused having said he walked down the passage and that he cocked a firearm. What he said though is that he released the safety mechanism and he then fired the shots. So I'm going to, just for argument's sake, say that the hammer was in forward position, the accused pulled the trigger, double action for the shot to be fired. Am I right?
My lady, if he said he released the safety, then it might be in the position that I described to my lady, what we call cock and lock. One up, hammer back. You just got to push the safety out of the safety position. Your firearm is ready to fire, and that is on the lighter trigger pressure.
But if it's not cocked and locked,
if it's not cocked and locked, you've got, as I have described it, you've got to cock it, leave the slide. One must be picked up from the magazine and be inserted into the chamber.
But if it's one up and the hammer is down, not up, then you can still fire the gun, but it will cause a double action.
That's correct.
Now, let us just take that. The gun that the accused used cannot fire without the trigger being pulled.
My lady, the trigger is a safety mechanism, so you must pull the trigger. I haven't investigated that fire to that extent, but yes, you must pull the trigger.
You must pull the trigger. To fire 4 shots, you must pull the trigger 4 times.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, have you been able... You've indicated yesterday that we're dealing with quite a neat grouping of at least B, C, and D.
I'll say it's not a neat grouping in the sense of a marksman who fired at the target, but it's not what I've meant. My lady, it's not a very big grouping. I've got a measuring tape here and I can measure it all.
No, it's not important. We can see it. Now, whilst we're talking, but you haven't discussed the fact that he fired the firearm when he pulled the trigger with the accused at all.
Just come again.
Sorry. You have not discussed the accused putting the trigger, firing the shot into the door with the accused at all.
I haven't had that consultation with him at all, my lady.
Have you been given his version of how it happened?
Only what I heard in court.
Only what you heard in court?
Yeah.
And that is when he testified?
I think I'm still, again, speaking under correction, but there were stages when I was not in court when he testified. I can't remember that I have heard what his version was, but I remember what Mr. Roux had explained to the court.
Now, you said in your report that it's possible to use a laser and link all the bullet holes with E. With
my lady, I think what I actually said is that if there was a deflection, we only know of one bullet that went through the door and hit position A. But if there was deflection, that deflection was never taken into consideration. It was never the deflection through that door and the deflection. And Captain Mangena said, and his evidence was that there's a possibility of deflection. Then that laser, that is my point. Then the laser, you've got the intermediate target, you've got your gun, intermediate target, and a deflection. Then, so what I'm actually saying, it's a possibility, and I only say it's a possibility, that if you take the others in consideration, and you take a possible deflection in consideration, there is a possibility that it will end could have ended at E.
Why are you then saying that Mr. Mangena is wrong if he can point from where you also agree the accused was standing, that corresponds with the height of the accused in the firing position? Why are you saying he's wrong if he indicates that the laser through B links with D?
Well, lady, I think maybe my version is actually, as I just said, that a deflection was never taken in consideration. I don't say it's wrong, but deflection was not taken in consideration.
Indeed, but you said deflection is possible. He's now indicated to the court that on B, and that there's lots of things that you have to take into account. Are you happy with the fact that Captain Mangena took into account the height of the accused on his prosthesis in the without his prosthesis in the normal firing position?
That's correct.
You're happy with that?
Well, I'm quite happy with it because it correlates with what you find there.
Yes. Now, if you're happy with the accused in the correct height of the accused in the firing position, going through B, and there's no deflection, because deflection is possible. It's not. It's not a given.
I agree. If there was no deflection, then it's possible that could have been there, my lady. I don't disagree.
Okay.
I don't disagree. But the only point I'm making is that there's also other possibilities if there was a deflection.
But if this but the deflection is not a given. A deflection is a possible. But the captain indicated that there was no deflection from B. Then he's not wrong if there was no deflection.
I don't say he's wrong.
But then, if he's not wrong, then B missed.
My lady, I think I also said that I don't say it's not a possibility that B missed, but my problem is that is bringing that secondary wounds into contact with the other wounds. And B is the only one that I can really, without, I won't say without any doubt, but it will make sense to me that it could have caused that secondary wounds and when she was actually collapsing. Otherwise, she was collapsing to the other side. And
no.
I've tried a lot of things. And
can I just ask you, on the measurements you took at page 15 of your report?
Yes, my lady.
If I
interpret... It's page 15 of exhibit.
MMM, my lady.
Thank you.
If I interpret this correctly, you're saying the trajectory of bullet hole A was upwards.
Plus minus 2.5 millimeters, my
upwards, the trajectory.
That's correct. That's how I measure it, my lady.
Can't be, because
my
that
lady,
is impossible.
The way I have measured it is I also used a laser measuring it. My laser that I've used is a laser that got a horizontal as well as a vertical laser line. And then I took it and I've matched it right into the center of that hole. One is going vertical through it, the other one. And then there is no, if you take a tape and a little bit from the left to the right, you may have a wrong reading. So this is the way I have done it. And this was also very funny to me.
Well, it's not, you refer to it as funny. I refer to it as impossible. Because
well,
it's not true.
It can be measured again, my lady.
No. Because let us just look at it. Except if the accused was moved closer and fired upwards. Because the trajectory is upwards. And it's upwards by 2.5 millimeters. That's what you found.
Well, that is the measurements I took, my lady. But his hand could have been going lower as well. It's not to say that he fired from the normal firing position where what we call it a line of sight. A line of sight means that I've got my eye, I've got the back sight, I've got the front sight, and I've got the target. And I must line all up with my eye. That's line of sight. So, but he can fire it, go downwards and fire it without a line of sight, and then I say that will be possible to get the upwards trajectory, my lady. So his hand have moved from this position to a bit lower.
Much lower.
No, not where you've got it, Mr.
Let us look at it. Let us look at it.
Just bringing it a bit lower.
The shoulder lever is 1.23.
I can't remember, yeah, but
You can take it
I'll
from me.
accept it.
Yeah. The bullet hole is 1.04. 104 millimeters from the. Yeah.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah. B is about 104 centimeters.
Yeah, B is 104.
Yeah, B is 104. He is 123.
That's correct.
So, to be able to fire it upwards at 2 millimeters, he must really lower his.
But, my lady, then there's also the fact that I've mentioned that it could have been a deflection.
No, you see, that is the problem, and I knew that answer was coming. Because on a trajectory from 123 downwards, in that door, it cannot, from the entrance wound to the exit wound, deflect upwards.
I disagree.
Well, it is.
I've seen it previously, my lady, and it is possible.
No, it can't. Not in a door. How can it go upwards? Because the trajectory is downwards.
The trajectory is downwards, my lady, but the wood may have more resistance at a certain point, and that it might. And there is a lot of the test that was done by myself and various other experts throughout the world to determine deflection, and normally it is with the rifling, but if it's at the angle, and then it's fired through different layers of the wood, then I say that it's a possibility that it might have deflected upward. The only way to do that is to open that door and to see if it's not that hole, and to see if it didn't.
But the probes go downwards, if you put a probe in.
My lady also said that probes can the probe, when you push it through, you're actually altering the bullet hole.
But the time you measured that, there have been probes through it, and the
the-
probes go down.
Sorry, I interrupted. And the door was rehanged a couple of times.
Yes,
So-
but let's say the probes went downwards and changed the angle.
My lady,
Because it's been used before you had access to the door to measure it.
yes, my lady, I agree with that. But as I said, the door was rehanged, it was removed and rehanged, probes was pushed through it, and I saw that as well. But I'm not going to alter it. That's how I measured it.
No, I say that that's wrong, but let's just carry on. The bullet. Well, let me just look at it. Then, for you to link A with E, A must come from below. Otherwise, because, I mean, the angle is up. So you must come from below to measure, to link A to E. Am I right? You, and I'm referring to you.
But I think A is a bullet, and I also said to my lady, if you give me a second,
Yeah.
my lady, if we look at photo, I'll just in my report. Let me see. Can't put my hands on that photo now, but that's the one where the probe is in the body.
I'll get it.
It looks like, if you look at that probe that's inserted in the body, that it is an upwards trajectory.
You see, I'll get there.
Pardon? 20. Thank you.
Photo 20.
What page would that be?
Page 24, my lady, photo 20.
Thank you very much.
That's correct, my lady.
Thank
If you look at that probe, it's got an appearance of an upwards trajectory.
I'm so glad you used the word appearance. Were you at the post-mortem?
No, my
Do
lady.
you agree that that probe in that wound is much smaller than the wound?
My lady, if you blow up that wound as well, you can see that that wound was stretched as well.
But, yeah, but even if it's stretched, now at post-mortem, the wound is stretched, you put a little probe in it, that means nothing. That probe can move around.
Why was the probe put in there?
It wasn't done by Professor Simon, but listen, don't ask the question, listen to the question. That probe is not stable, it can move around, it's much thinner than the hole.
So I agree with it. But
And you weren't there.
I weren't there. I'm only giving my evidence on a photo, that's all.
But, you know, you're lucky. Because you have Dr. Perumal on your team. Did you ask him about this photograph?
No, my lady.
He was at the post-mortem. Why wouldn't you ask him about this photograph before you put it in your report?
I only saw Dr. Perumal once. And
Yep. But before you put something in a report and make a finding on it, why did you not discuss it with him?
my lady, it's, if you look at all the police photos in that vicinity, all shows you that direction.
You
So
see?
I don't say it's upwards. I only say it appears to be upwards.
Yes, but what I'm asking you is, you're an expert, you put this photograph in, you make a finding, you say, the position of the probe shows an upward trajectory. Why did you not discuss it with your pathologist that was part of the post-mortem?
I never had an opportunity to discuss it with him.
Now, what I'm getting at, and every time may I just page through. You're saying in paragraph 19, page 12, Melody. Do you confirm paragraph 19.1? If regard is had to the above, that now means deflection of some sort. Any of the bullets entering positions A, B, C, and D on the toilet door could have caused the mark at E.
Yes, my lady.
Have you done it?
No, I haven't done it. But I've been, I couldn't, how would I know what's the deflection?
But have you,
That's a point. I don't know what's the
have
deflection.
you
so
tried a laser through
I
A?
did, yes, my lady.
Say again?
I did.
And?
And it ended up at different points. I think if you go to the scene, the marks that I've marked out are still on the scene at the present moment.
But so what you're saying is that you put the lasers through A, B, C, and D. You did that.
We did it.
Did any of A, B, C, and D end up at E?
No, not one ended up.
So how did Captain Mangena manage to do it?
My lady, my point is that deflection was never taken in consideration.
No, but you see, if there's no deflect, if Captain Mangena can get the laser through B to E, why could you not do it?
Just come again.
I'll do it again.
So sorry, maybe I misunderstood you.
Yeah, but I'll do it gladly. Captain Mangena was able to put the laser through B onto E, but you were not able to do it. Why?
No, I didn't say I was not able
You
to
did.
do it.
2-3 questions ago, you said you weren't able to.
Maybe I misunderstood.
Okay. Let's start again then. Were you able to link any of the bullet holes, A, B, C, and D, with E?
I could link B with very near to E. Not right into it, but very near to it.
We know that Captain Mangena was able to put it into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also saw when my lady, when the laser was used on that side, it was very clear. The laser was very clear, and you can do it again. It's very clear. As soon as you go to the other side, it's only a very thin, and it breaks up. The laser, it breaks up.
What are you saying?
So I say there must be some sort of a distortion through the hole. That's what I'm saying.
May we get photograph 33 of
I'm talking what was done in the court now, my lord.
You've given us a distortion. Let us just deal with it. Are you saying, before we'll get there, are you saying that if we switch on that laser now, that inside that door, it won't link to what we've marked as E?
That's not what I've said.
What did you say?
I've said it's not as clear there when you spray it. That is on the other side. It sort of what I've observed from where I was standing was actually breaking up.
But it won't. A laser will not. There won't be an angle.
Deflect, but I agree with that. I agree with it. It won't deflect. If it's not 100% into the middle of that bullet hole, there might be distortion. That bits and pieces of it comes.
But it will go to the point.
Approximately. Yeah.
Yes. And Captain Mangena, you were present when Captain Mangena was able, at the house on the 8th of March, to put it into them.
But I didn't interfere with his investigation.
Yeah, I've not said that, and I don't know why you would mention that. The question is easy. You were present.
I was.
When Captain Mangena on the 8th of March.
That's correct.
Put it into E.
That's correct.
Yes. And why weren't you able to do it?
I didn't say I was not. Maybe the time when I was doing it, my lady, the door was not hung precisely at the same point as it was. Maybe half a degree out of. So that might also have an influence on it. If a door is not hung exactly in the same way, it might take it also a little bit from the point.
You weren't able to link the others, A, C, and D, with E. You weren't able to put it into E.
No, my lady.
You said you could put it. You tried it. How close could you get it?
Sorry?
How close could you get it to E?
My lady, if I remember, but I can't remember which one of each. The one I found here on the side to the toilet, was there, and then there was near to F,
Yes.
and there, I think there was also one or two near to F, and between F, I'm talking what I can remember, but they were a bit, they were not exact, how can I say, they were a bit away from
E.
From E.
Now, I want to put on record, if you say, one, you got into the little wall on the, if you sit on the toilet,
On a toilet,
on the left-hand side of
a
the
small
toilet.
little wall
Yes. Okay, so one, you managed to get there.
there.
One, you managed to get in the region of F.
That's correct.
And the other one?
Well, I can't remember, very near to that one. Maybe near to G, but not
Yeah.
into G.
Yes. Melanie, may I just, for the court, there are 3 green marks. It's E, F, and G. G is to the right of F. It's marked on the.
Yes.
Okay. So then, the one that you. Can you still remember which one you got on the short wall next to the toilet? Which of the bullet
I
holes?
can't remember. I just know that one of the tragic. I'll take a rough guess, but I think it was A. I'm not sure.
Yes, I think you're right. But now we go back and say, do you have that report of the test that I just asked you about?
No, I haven't got. I didn't compile a report on it. I've just took photos on it.
Then I've got another difficulty, and that is, you say that any of the bullet holes entering positions A, B, C, and D on the toilet door could have caused a mark at E, but that's not so.
Only taking deflection in consideration. That's why I've said that, my lady. Only taking. If there were a deflection, it might have been to another point. And that's why I've said it. It's not because I couldn't match it to that mark, but solely because I also consider that there could have been deflection.
Okay. The one thing we know is, and that is when you did this test with your laser, that was on the 8th of November, am I right?
I think that's right, yeah. That's where the two, Captain Mangena was not there, and there was 2 other police officers there, present.
Yes. That was on the 8th of November.
I think it's 8.
At that time, you already had Captain Mangena's report. Am I right?
I think you're right, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, you went to do a reconstruction with Captain Mangena's report at hand to do what? What was the purpose?
I've done my own reconstruction without taking anybody else to influence my opinion.
But what we have is when you did it on the 8th of November, you were present when Captain Mangena did his reconstruction on 8 March?
I was present.
And you made notes and took photographs?
I took a couple of photographs, yeah.
And you had his full report when you did yours on the 8th of November?
Lady, I'm just thinking now. I think I had his report.
Where's it now? Do you have it? Did you find it somewhere?
No. I think at that stage I had his report. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is correct. I already had his report.
Now, did you file it somewhere?
Yes, I've got a file in my.
You've got a file with Captain Mangena's report in it?
Yeah.
And your old reports, is that also in there?
No, my lady.
Why would you have Captain Mangena's report in there and not your old reports?
That's the file that I've got here is a file with all the police statements in, not my statements.
Okay. So you've got a file.
What we call all the A statements that
So you kept the police statements, you kept Captain Mangena's report, but you did not keep your early report.
I never printed it out, my lady. I've already stated, and I don't know how to go any further about it. I've never printed it out. And maybe there was a mistake on my side.
There's one other aspect I just want to cover. The decibel tests at the house of Mr. Pistorius. Have you seen a report about that?
I've seen, but as I said, you can give the report to me, I won't understand it because I'm not a sound expert. Even if I had it, I wouldn't know how to interpret it.
Yeah, but the question is, did you see a report?
Yes, I saw a report.
Where?
I'll say about it was not long ago, my lady, maybe 2 or 3 weeks of just before the case started or during the case that was already going, I'm not sure, but I've never saw the report and I've asked for it, but I can't interpret it because I don't know what's going on in that report.
No, let us take it slowly. You never saw the report before, you asked for it.
Yes, as far as I know, I asked to see if I can make anything out of it, but I'm not a sound expert, so I don't know. I would not know what's going on there.
Why did you want to see it?
It's a matter of interest to say, see if maybe I can interpret it, but I can't. It's not in my field of expertise.
And did you discuss it with someone?
No, I've never discussed it with someone.
Now, the day when the tests were done at Mr. Pistorius' house, were there photographs taken?
Yes, there were photographs.
And video?
I don't know about videos. There might have been videos, but there was a few photos taken.
You've seen those photographs?
Yeah.
And those photographs would indicate how the accused hit the door with a bat.
My lady, yes. Of the photos I took myself, and I've put my camera on the sports, but it's blurred. All the photos, unfortunately, is very blurred. You can see this bat coming like that, but you can't make out a lot out of.
But you know that there were tests done, decibel tests.
Yes, there was decibel tests.
I see. And you didn't, it was never suggested that you use those tests instead of going to an open shooting range to do the same tests.
My lady, as I said, I've been requested by the legal team to do this test only on what we have seen on this YouTube thing. And I think it's Mr. Alexander Jason who did it, and he's a ballistic expert from America, and it was put onto YouTube. And we've only done to see if this similar thing is coming out there. But I'm not a sound expert, and as I stated, I've got tinnitus. I may hear something different to a normal person who've got normal hearing.
Okay, then whilst we're dealing with that, have you heard the sound clips that was played in court?
Yes, I've heard it.
Now, you've heard it in court. Have you heard it outside court?
I've heard it at the shooting range with.
Ear protection.
No, with what you call it, with ear. My microphone's on.
Headphones.
Headphones. That's
that is the. You see now. We also did that. What difference did you pick up between the two recordings, the recordings of the bat and the recordings of the gun?
My lady, as I already stated, I'm hard hearing, and I've got tinnitus, but for me it sounded very similar. For me, with my disability of hearing properly, I've got. I didn't put my hearing aids on. But then, again, it would have been something different. And for another reason, putting my hearing aids on, I think that will also have an influence on to damage my hearing further. So I took it out and I listened at the sounds without hearing aids, and that's it. But my hearing may be quite different from what there's certain words that must sometimes be repeated to me because I hear the wrong word, and then the sentence is going wrong. So, and that's one of the reasons I say I can't testify on this. I'm not a sound expert.
No, I know, but you've listened to it, and I'm putting to you, if you listen to the bat hitting the door, there are clear background noise of crickets, which you can hear clearly. But with a gunshot, the cricket sounds are there, but very soft and distant. Have you heard that?
I can't disagree with it. Even if it was, the sound was enhanced. I couldn't hear it. With my hearing problem, I couldn't hear the crickets. Everybody tells me they hear crickets or even birds. Somebody told me, that's birds. I said, no, it was in the night, and there was a little dam near to it. And my lady, I can't hear it. With my disability, I can't hear that.
Now, I was still busy with something, and then I just dealt with the sound thing, so I'm going to go back. You agreed with Captain Mangena. Well, let me ask you if you agreed. He fired shots through a door, and the biggest deflection he could find was 3 degrees.
That's what he said, and I can't disagree with him. Yes. But I've also looked at his pictures that he conducted. When he testified, I can't remember that he testified about how this test was conducted. And he also testified that he made use of a high-speed camera, that I can remember also. Yes. But I can't remember that he actually told the court how this experiments of him was conducted.
Yeah, no, you're right. But nobody asked it. It was accepted, the 3 degrees, because you also accepted.
Yes,
yes.
That.
Now, he said the biggest deflection he could get was 3 degrees. Now, will you agree with me that through A, you would need a much bigger deflection than 3 degrees to get A to E?
If there was not a second intermediate target like the hand. We've never handled the hand, my lady. The left hand could have also be a secondary target, and there could have been another deflection from there with a possible unstable bullet.
I hear you, and all I want you to do is to listen to my question.
I think I've answered it.
No, you haven't.
I haven't.
What's a deflection to get A to E? What deflection would you want? Work it out.
What deflection do I want?
What deflection would you need for A to reach E?
I'm not sure.
Can you work it out?
A couple of degrees.
You matched A to the wall on the side. How much degrees do you need to get it back to E?
My lady, there's also a corner there. There's a corner there, and that can also have an influence on it.
Have you measured?
I haven't done it.
Okay. So you cannot tell the court what deflection you would need from C and or D?
No, my lady.
Good. Now, is it possible for you to show the court your experiments in linking or trying to link A, B, C, and D to E? Do you have photographs and or videos of that?
I've got photographs on my computer, sir, and I'll need to look up where it is.
So you have?
I'm sure I've got photographs where I have taken my laser and trying to match it up with
Okay.
the different points. But, and we, yeah,
Would you be so kind as to let us have copies of that so we can see that?
more than welcome.
Okay. We'll do that. Now, whilst we're talking to your computer, do you have any reports saved on your computer pertaining to this case that you drafted?
I already stated what my position is about my report. My lady.
I'm asking a different question. Apart from this one, is there any other saved on that computer?
There's a lot of things, my lady, that I've done where I actually looked at photos and done my own thing and to get a better picture and things. I've got it on my computer.
You've done a lot of things to try and do something to a picture. The question is something different. Do you have the reports saved on your computer? That's the question.
My lady, I've already stated, I don't know how far I must go. I've already stated I've got a report and there's other notes. I've got a couple of notes that I've sent through to the legal team, but I've only got one report on my computer.
Okay. Now, when you did your tests for your reconstruction on 8 November, did you compile notes and make that available to the defense about your results on that particular day?
My lady, I can make sure what I've got here with me. I've got notes that I've made, and I can see if there's any notes.
On the 8th of November?
8th of November, but the most of my notes was compiled in photos. I've taken photos, and my photos was used as my notes as well.
But, okay, but you said that we're welcome to have a copy of your photos taken on the 8th of November.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, the fact what ammunition was used, when you fired the shots at the evidence boards, you were still under the impression that you're dealing with black talent.
That's correct.
Now, did you ask the accused what ammunition he used?
No, my lady.
Why not? You on the accused team, you want to know what ammunition he used. Why did you not ask him?
My lady, I can't. The investigation that I'm doing is I'm doing it myself. There was cartridge cases retrieved from the crime scene, and the bullets that was recovered from the body. Even Professor Simon asked me at the scene, I think it was on the 8th of March, when he was also present at the crime scene. He asked me whether I know if black talon bullets is prohibited. And I said, no, as far as I know, you can buy them. If they are still available, you can buy it from a dealer. And that's the first time that I heard that black talon ammunition was possibly used. Then I saw some photos with the black, and I saw the cartridge cases. That gave me the impression, without asking anybody what type of ammunition was used, I knew that got the appearance of black talon, so it's black talon. So then later on, only later on, I established that this was 127 grain, and black talon was never manufactured in 127 grain, but only a Ranger. There was some Rangers with the Luberlocks, the black tip on it. So then and it was it's not a long time ago that I established that this was actually a ranger and not black talon ammunition.
Yeah. How did you establish that?
I went on the internet, and I've even contacted. I made contact with this person who did on Skype with this expert from America, Mr. Alex Jason, and he confirmed it as well as my research on the internet.
Captain Mangena, in fact, fired black talon and ranger into a water trap, and they're different. They have the same effect, but his view is that what we see on the scene is black talon and not ranger.
Well, I haven't seen it.
You haven't? Okay. But that's his view. His view is that it's black talon, and you think that your view is it wasn't black talon.
It's not black talon, because black talon was never manufactured in 127 grain.
How did you get to 127 grain?
I've measured, I've actually weighed it, and a bullet with him, and he confirmed it with me that it was 127. A bullet that was pulled by him, and bullets that was fired in a water trap. And they weighed it a bit less than 127 grain.
And that bullet was recovered from where? Where did you get that bullet from that he fired?
When I went to the...
From the magazine of the accused gun?
Sorry?
Where did that bullet come from?
From Captain Mangena. He gave it to me.
Now, Captain Mangena has done some research, and you can see, but I don't think it's an issue, but I'm just putting it to you, that his research indicates that black talon at 127 grains were manufactured. And it's possible to point that out to you.
If it can possible, then I will concede. Then I will concede.
It's neither here nor there, but I just wanted to...
But my information that I gathered is that it's not black talon, but if he can show it to me from, for instance, a letter from Winchester, then I'll concede on that point.
Now, the exhibit boards and the splintering. Do you agree with me that to fire one shot at one distance would not give you an accurate disbursement of?
I agree with you, my lady, and I also said in my evidence in chief that this is very, very scarce, this with the black tip on. I had to actually turn somebody's arm so that you can give me a couple of those rounds, but I could get nowhere. If I had more, I would have done more tests.
Okay. So, and that would have given one a better indication of...
Yeah, normally your best norm is to fire 5 shots at the distance. I'll say a good norm is 5 shots at the distance.
Now, also the evidence boards that you use, is it with you? Can I ask somebody just to hand me any of the evidence boards?
Which one do you want?
Anyone, the first one. They're all the same boards. I'm more interested in the type of board. Now this is a board. Now you try to measure splintering of very light particles, splinters. Is that correct? That's what we tried to see.
We want to see if there's a dispersion, what this dispersion is, more like.
But the dispersion that you measured were of splinters in a door.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, why did you not use paper?
My lady, a board is, according to me, better to use.
No,
paper will just penetrate it. And
Exactly. Small particles will penetrate paper, but not this board.
My lady, paper is not the same as a human skin, and I did not do anything my experiments was not to determine what the effect is on a human skin. It was only to determine the splintering and the dispersion of that little fragments that comes out of the door with the bullet.
You've now answered your own question. You said the board is not a human skin. You didn't try and test if what it would happen with a human skin. What you tried to do is to test the disbursement. That's what you just said. Am I
Yeah,
right?
that's
But
correct.
I'm saying a paper would have indicated better. Smaller particles would have been indicated on paper better than this board.
My lady, it might be so, but I don't think it's the right way to do it.
Why?
With paper.
Why would you use a board that's this tough and not a piece of paper just to see the disbursement of splinters?
That's the way I've done it, my lady.
I put to you that if you used paper, there would have been a better indication, because smaller particles would have been more visible on paper. Do you agree with that?
I can't disagree with it.
Now, when you did these tests on the board, who was present when you did this?
I think it was myself, if I can remember correctly. It was myself, and I think Mr. van der Westhuizen was present, as well as Mr. Roger Dixon, and maybe, just maybe, Rikus Kruger.
Now, one of your major arguments as far as the wound on the right arm is concerned is the secondary missiles indications that we can see.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you would agree with me, and you've included in your report, that the forearm of the accused also showed signs of secondary missile marks.
Yeah,
You can see
I
that
think it's wound described as wound 4.8, if I'm correct.
Yeah, the forearm from the wrist up into the wound, one can see the secondary missile marks.
There is on the arm, there is, and was
Yeah.
described by Professor Simon as a very small dispersion on the forearm here, if I'm correct.
No, but you can see it. You
can see it on the
photograph.
photo, yeah.
Yeah. Page 27 of your report. I mean, that do you have your report with you, or you know the
No,
photograph?
I'm listening to you. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry.
please have a look at the photograph. Then we'll perhaps.
27,
It's page 27. It's photograph 24.
24, yeah.
Now, that is a wide area that was affected by secondary missiles.
Well, I think let's look at the post-mortem report and see what the professor said, what
Look at
the
your
dispersion was.
Look at your photograph. You can see it. I mean, I can see the marks that you've showed on the photograph. That is a wide area, am I right?
If you look at the photo, it's quite a wide area. Yeah.
Yes. That means that the splinters must have spread to be able to do this.
That's a possibility, yeah.
No, what's the other possibility?
No, it's a possibility that it's
No, what
already
is
spread.
the other possibility? What is the other, if this is one possibility, what's the other possibility?
No, maybe I've made a wrong word choice, but my lady did the arm might have been a little bit further away from.
Yeah. So we have to put the arm further for that wide area of secondary missiles, further than what?
My lady, I think I said between 6 and 20, but not further than 60, I think.
Okay. Good. So it is then possible, having seen that photograph and having thought about it that it could have been 55.
Correct, my lady.
That would that affect your reconstruction that it was B, if she was that if she was that far from the door?
My lady, I think I said, and my evidence is that there is splinters on the arm. She must have been in the vicinity of the door, and that she was not right back. And I said there was no splinters on the hand and the face. So when that wounds were inflicted, she was most probably further away than 60 centimeters on the left hand and the face. The rest of the wounds, and I also said, it's very difficult to come to a precise conclusion what her position behind that door was. And I've also cited that another expert may come and have a different opinion from myself and Captain Magena. So it's very difficult, and I said that the splinters on the arm, the forearm, the splinters on after an absence of splinters and other factors, we can come to a certain conclusion, but we can't really not say what happened. It's all speculation what happened behind that door.
Captain, I almost said captain.
So I've left the police force many years ago as a captain.
It shows that I know you for a while. Mr. Wormerans, put myself off track, Malaysia. Now, your evidence on E and F and the bullet core, hit E, hit F, hit into the toilet bowl. I'm dealing with that.
Yep.
Now, if the deceased was on that magazine rack, leaning forward towards the toilet, it could have hit her from EF to her back. It's possible.
My lady, I won't say it's impossible, but then I won't expect the bullet to land in the toilet.
But
because the direction will be completely different.
No, it's not. Because you see, that place is so small. That's why I wanted the court to look at it. The direction of F, the deceased bent forward towards the toilet, and the toilet is all in line. It's such a small place. Look at it.
My lady, with the magazine rack in the position where it is standing, as it's indicated on photos, I think if she was seated on that magazine rack, she was in a, if I can call it a skew position. She was not in a straight position, facing her back to the E and F.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Then she was actually in a skew.
No, definitely. You're right.
And
because
then,
her head was then facing towards the door.
And then if she, if I may go in, then but I can't sit so low, so okay. I wouldn't even try.
Let's try and explain. Let's see if we can get along.
With my back problem, I can't really do that. But then I'll expect, if I can do it this way, sitting there, that the bullet would have traveled that way to cause that injury.
Yes.
So and then how can the bullet land into the toilet?
Because it ricocheted from her. It made an impression on her back and went into the.
It couldn't have landed in the toilet.
It could.
That's the point I'm making.
It's in line. It's so small. It's so small in that toilet area that
I agree
it's in
with
line.
it. But then it couldn't have been the bullet that was found in the toilet.
I thought we showed that before the Lancet journal, but we'll get back to that. Let me just carry on with something else. sound tests, and I'm not asking you about detail about the sound tests, but the sound test at the shooting range,
Correct, my lady?
on night one, the firearm did not want to function correctly.
We've tried numerous shots to fire it without manually reloading it. I think the specific firearm was not very friendly with this type of ammunition. It sometimes do happen, my lady, that the ramp of the gun is not very smooth or something. And of talking about the ramp is the part where the bullet comes from the magazine, and then this is the ramp, and there's the barrel, and then it will stick. It just don't work because of, I'm sorry, because of the shape of the bullet. It just doesn't want to function. That might be one of the reasons. That might be a couple of other reasons, but that is what I think what happened there, that this type of ammunition was not friendly with that type of gun.
You see, I've just been advised by Brigadier Van sitting next to me that isn't that specific firearm, doesn't that firearm have a very short ramp, and the loading is directly from the magazine into the barrel with a very short...
I'm not sure, but it didn't function for some reason. I don't know what the reason is.
I mean, when you started giving evidence, you said you were somebody that would fix firearms and that would work on firearms. And I'm asking you, because let me just ask you, wasn't it something with the ammunition that the...
That's also a possibility, my lady. That's also, I can't exclude that possibility. That was not...
That there wasn't enough propellant power in...
It's also a possibility. I can't exclude that possibility as well.
Okay, let us just deal with that. So it's possible that there was not enough propellant powder in the ammunition to force the gun to cycle.
That's correct. That's also a possibility, but there's a lot of possibilities. One is not friendly, one is the shape of the bullet sometimes doesn't work with this type of ammunition, but I know that the accused weapon did work with this type of ammunition, and it was the same type of firearm.
Were those self-loaded ammunition, or what kind of ammunition did you use?
So it was given to me from a box with the name Ranger on it, and it didn't appear to be self-loaded ammunition.
But the only way that one could really say that there was a problem with the propellant powder is if you load a firearm and you don't put enough propellant powder in it.
Yeah, but the possibility is that the ammunition got a bit old as well. So there's a lot of it that was not ever stored in a dry and a cool place. There's a couple of reasons why this type of thing can happen, my lady.
And you say you tried, how many shots did you fire that night?
I can't remember. With a black Talon, I didn't have a lot of rounds, my lady. It was only a few rounds, and and we didn't have any other ammunition with us. We only had the black, the Ranger ammunition. There was not the one with the black tip. Was Ranger ammunition now that I remember, it was Ranger ammunition that I bought from VLT Firearms in Kilner Park. And after, let's say, I can't remember, 5 or 6, but it was not more than 10 shots, if I can remember correctly. It was not a lot of shots that was fired. And after one round of this ammunition, my lady, is about 20 rounds, just underneath, less than 20 rounds a round. Now I'm start firing this ammunition, not that the money makes any difference, but now I start firing this stuff away, and the gun didn't work with it. It just didn't want to operate with it.
Now, So we can exclude the fact that it's old ammunition because that's ammunition that you
No,
bought.
no, sorry, I made a mistake. There's no. It was fresh ammunition from a dealer.
Did you try and fix the gun?
My lady, in the dark, I have got no tools with me. To try and fix a gun like that, you need proper tools, and there was no tools to do it.
Good. Captain, then. Captain, I really do apologize. I've called the witness captain again, and it's just a slip of the tongue.
I won't, because he called me a captain a lot of times when I testified as a policeman, my lady, so I've got no problems with it.
Mr. Wolmerans, just before the tea adjournment, we dealt with the magazine rack and the possibility of that having caused striations.
That's correct, my lady.
You've had a look at it? It's a smooth surface.
There's a smooth surface. I don't have to look at it. I didn't look at it because I've looked at it previously. It's a smooth surface.
And that would not have caused striations at smooth surface.
I can't see that. No, my experience with this type of striations, there must be something to cause that striations.
Now, the marks on the back of the deceased, the marks on the back of the deceased, we're dealing with that. If that was caused by the magazine rack, she was slowed down. Am I right?
I think you're right, yeah.
Now, for her to land from that position up to the toilet, she'll have to get up again.
I don't quite follow the question
Just
because she was not sitting on the toilet.
No, but her head was. I'm talking about her head. For her to get from a position where the magazine rack caused the mark of the back, for her to get back with her head on top of the toilet, she had to get up.
I don't know exactly in what position she was found, but I was informed, and even the blood on the magazine, on the toilet, indicates that her head was there and that she was bleeding there.
Yeah.
So, but I think she could have sit or be on a seated position, still with her head on the toilet.
But if she's seated on the floor.
Seated on the floor. Yeah.
On the floor.
Yeah.
But if that happened, then none of the other bullets would have hit her. If she's sitting on the floor, the bullet holes are too high.
My lady, my evidence was that she was falling down while the shots was fired. She was still falling down. She was not seated yet when the last shot was fired. And then it will, everything will come in line.
Mr. Wolmerans, I'm going to ask the court for adjournment. I just want to touch something with you. You have, as your report on the 8th of November, of what happened there, photographs available.
I've got photographs available.
Nothing in writing.
Not as far as I can remember, yeah.
And you're willing that we can have a look at it and then deal with it?
More than welcome.
But it's 2:45. It's been a long day for me. May I ask for adjournment? We will, in this time, do two things. Have a look at the photographs and deal with the other marks before we resume again on Monday.
You want us to adjourn?
Until Monday.
Until Monday.
Yes.
Mr. Roux?
Yes. I see it's in fact not too long. I'm not going to argue 10 minutes, my lady. It's in fact 9 minutes before. I'm not going to argue 9 minutes.
We'll resume on Monday at 9:30 in the morning.
Have a good business.
I'm sorry, madam. May I ask?